You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Dean Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Survivor After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. If you'd like to buzz in on tonight's show, you can buzz us at 424-256-1729. That's 424-256-1729. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Survivor After Show.
What up, boys and girls? Bing, we're here doing the live finale 2 days later of Survivor Season 26. You guys, this is Fans vs. Favorites. I'm your host, AJ Gibson, joined by the lovely three-time player of Survivor, Jerri Manthy, to my right. How are you?
I'm great. I'm feeling very summery.
You look very summery. Yep. Thank God for that mic.
Yep. Thank God for that.
or not.
Hashtag boobies.
Also here at the night, the whole gang's here, you guys. We got Justin Walter and Ryan Carrillo. How you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Good. A little sad. It's all ending.
I know. I'm sad too.
I get sad finale days and recaps.
The first half of the season, I'm kind of like, just get this thing over with already. Then the second half, once we get to the merge, I'm always sad to see it go because I fall in love with the show all over again.
Right.
Good ending.
I love how I was just mentioning as Jerri got here. You know that you're a gay man on a panel when a lovely lady like Jerri walks in. The first thing I say to her is, "Oh, did you get a haircut?" Right. I'll let you guys just watch and figure out what I should have said. All right. So let's start off this episode, okay? We're coming back from the previous tribal council where Brenda was blindsided. I'm still not over it.
Yeah, you weren't here for that.
Over it.
Yeah.
She's gone.
Thank God you weren't here.
Thank God I wasn't here. I was at home crying in a bowl of popcorn.
You and everybody else in America had
Apparently.
Exactly. So you guys see how loved she is on the show.
Okay.
I mean, almost won fan favorite.
Can't
She
wait.
almost did.
Whatever. I don't buy any
Did you
of that
almost
stuff.
ever win fan favorite, Jerri Manthy?
There's no such thing as almost winning.
It was a second place.
It's so ridiculous, and quite frankly, I'm not sure that the internet voting process is necessarily true.
Yeah.
There's no
conspiracy theories.
regulation. There's no regulation. on it.
Really?
Yeah.
That's so weird because, I mean, I know major networks are held accountable by their legal department for certain things. I wonder what they can get away with.
The internet is not regulated yet. But I don't know how you can. That's the thing. There's so many ways.
Well, I will just say this. I voted for her 10 times today on CBS.com. I swear to God. You probably see it if you look on my Facebook. There's probably like, AJ voted for Brenda. AJ voted for Brenda. AJ voted for Brenda. But alas, she didn't win. But she is pregnant, which is pretty exciting.
Very exciting.
I would also say that with the fan favorites, that the right one usually does win.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty easy to guess who's going to get it.
Yeah.
We were saying we thought Cochran was going to win fan favorite.
Well, that has happened before where the winner and is also
It's
the fan favorite.
happened quite a few times, if I can recall.
I would say that there's enough people that are angry with him over the way he handled Brenda and Andrea that would be reason enough not to give him fan favorite.
I think the voting, a lot of people started voting for it after the Brenda episode, so I think that probably there was maybe an influx of Brenda votes because of the immediate reaction.
And the crazy thing is, I think that before the season started, probably most people would assume that Dawn, if nothing else, would be a shoo-in for the fan favorite. Based on her last performance on the show.
Correct.
And I don't think she would have been anywhere near the
a
top.
lot to talk about.
Which is interesting.
Is Dawn not coming in today?
No. She actually flew home early.
Bummer.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to her so badly. I'll have
Me
to do
too.
it private time with Dawn.
I want to slap her, then hug her.
Oh,
because I still love her. I adore her. I'm not thrilled with her
Why
character
would you
on
want
the
to
show.
slap her? She was playing a game for $1 million where you vote people off.
Yeah, I get that.
She's
I get
being
that
held
argument.
to way too high of a standard that no one else is. It's just really annoying.
We'll get there. I understand that.
ready to talk
Again,
about it.
let me just throw
Let's
out.
just declare that today is National Dawn Day. So we're gonna. The show is National
Cue the
Dawn
hate
Day.
on YouTube for saying that.
Yeah, right.
No.
Exactly.
Hate away, people.
Yeah,
hate away.
Today, I say love away
Love
because a
away.
lot more can be gained
I
with
agree.
love.
Says
absolutely
the
true.
hashtag villain.
Tell that to Brenda's back where she's still pulling a knife out of it, and Andrea. So I'm just saying. So at the beginning of this episode, we come back from the last tribal council. Eric's head is spinning. All right. So
He's starving to death.
yes. Well, obviously he's skinny, but they all are,
couldn't
right?
get up
He
that
looks like
coconut
he's
tree.
like about to just die.
He'd been on some rewards though, correct?
Every
Yes.
every
Everyone.
reward.
I
Everyone.
thought they said that. Like,
Yeah.
what? Like,
I think he's got a worm. I don't know. When we met him on the red carpet, he's still so skinny.
Well, the thing is, I guess we'll never know because no one asked him any questions.
Right?
Well, let's not get there. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, you guys. We're still
it's a mystery.
I know. Well, we're still on the episode.
All right, keep us on
So
track.
he gets pulled out of the game. Kind of got my head spinning, literally, and same thing happened to him, I guess. But no, it got me to start to think about some things. Like, first of all, they said it was just moments prior, which we have some insider information that says maybe it wasn't didn't actually go down the way it did on TV, which is shocking.
Oh, I want to hear the insider information because talking about what happened on the show does not tell me anything.
Yeah, which explains why maybe it wasn't brought up on the actual show, on the actual finale at all. Which we'll talk about that in the finale part of this recap, though.
So what are we talking about?
Right now, well, let me finish. We're talking about Eric right now and how he went out of the game. Based on what we know from watching the game, all I could think of was, had he gone out a few minutes sooner, maybe Brenda would still be in the game, and how that would change the entire game. Because if he wasn't able to make it through that tribal council, and he was obviously struggling the entire day, we found out, what would that have done? And do we think that could have had an impact on the outcome of the game if Brenda had stayed in through that one vote?
It only would have, I think, if she won immunity. I mean, she was a goner, and in terms of Cochran and Dawn not leaving her in the game, but yeah, I mean, I still am just shocked that we had a med evacuation in the finale episode.
Yeah.
I was sitting next to Jerry, and we were shocked.
Yeah,
Because
we were like almost crying.
Because he was dizzy.
And
That's
it's
the
just-
craziest part.
Whoa. Back it
Devastating as
up,
a
back
fan.
it up. Let me explain to you what happened. I know for a fact, I recognize the look on his face. It's the same look that I found Boston Rob in the woods on Heroes and Villains. Same exact condition, same symptoms, everything. It's dehydration, number one, first and foremost. And there are ways that you can keep that person in the game. If you give them IV bags, you can pop them back in the game. Why they chose not to do that with him still remains a mystery to me.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
and that's what we're going to talk about later because as
Let's
a
talk
viewer,
about it now.
Okay, well, let's just go there then. Because as a viewer, and I'm just trying to keep this in the realm of a viewer, as a viewer, we weren't given any of that information.
Yeah.
And most people haven't experienced, dehydration.
Well, that's what I'm telling them right now. That's what I'm telling them is that.
Oh, I know what really
and that's,
happened.
you said
Yeah.
before it even went down, Jerry, you were saying they're going to give him an IV bag. He's going to be back in the game. Give him time. Give him the IV. He will be ready to go back in the game.
Yep.
Without naming sources or names, like,
Yeah.
what do we know? Who wants to take this one?
Ryan.
Well, we had heard that he basically had like a nervous breakdown because when he found out that Brenda was gone and he was betrayed, he figured he didn't have a leg to stand on, and he's obviously starving. Obviously, there were issues anyways. I mean, his pulse was low. You can't make up a lower pulse, with
Blood
all those
pressure.
machines, blood
Yeah.
pressure, whatever.
That's
it was.
what happens when you go into a state
Exactly.
of
Right. So he
dehydration
went
and
through.
sunstroke.
It was probably a bunch of things, but they said that he had collapsed at the tribal council, and then they just drug him down and made it seem more of an outdoor setting.
I heard that they reenacted essentially
Right.
what happened with him, and
Which is why some of the cast were kind of looking around like didn't even know what to do and everything else. But that was
I don't doubt that.
that was sort of
And how
what
shady is that?
happened.
And that's what's frustrating to me about what Survivor has become in recent years. I feel like
production.
it happened with Boston Rob's season when he finally won, and I felt like not to such a degree this year, but I felt like a lot of the season was really tailor-made towards Cochran. I felt like when they brought back when they first announced the cast, I'm like, who are these favorites? Who the hell are these people? Like Francesca?
The whole season was catered to the favorites, and the next season is going to be catered to the returnees. I mean, that's how it works.
It's frustrating though. Like as a classic Survivor fan, like I like to see like actual real favorites come back.
I want to see real fans.
Well, that's
Yeah.
that's
Well,
yeah,
that too.
That's also
another
just
thing.
pointing up to. Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say to Jerry that he was at tribal the next day as a juror, like no time down, like so obviously they could have like fixed him and got him back
Give
together.
him
He was
time.
fine. I had major dehydration on our show after the first day, and they gave me some stuff too. It was like this extra electrolyte salt
They
water.
gave me some
It was
solution, you just
awful.
chugged it.
And I felt fine in like 2 hours, but like they didn't even give him a chance.
I wish they
No.
would have given or talked about it a little bit with him in terms of, as a huge fan, you'd think Eric would have said, "Leave me here as long as I can until it's the last possible moment," where we didn't see any of that.
Right.
I
Well, you
felt
said
like
it too, AJ, too. But that's probably why they didn't ask him any questions, because they didn't want like any of that
To come up in the live
out.
reunion.
It's
They did-
live
'cause
show.
in the live reunion, Eric did I was saying this off camera, but like you could say, oh, they didn't say one word. No, he literally didn't say one word in the entire reunion, not one.
He took the Brenda approach.
But I know, but Brenda got airtime. But I
he
think
showed up on the red carpet just in
think-
time to leave.
Right. I think that regardless of how boring people may say that Eric is, he's played the game twice. And he's made it to fifth spot 2 times. There's
well.
something to be said about that.
Yeah.
Jeff Probst didn't ask him one question.
Yeah.
I think that's just awful.
Well, in terms of what you were saying, Jerry, in terms of you want to see real fans, you on the red carpet got some information in terms of the fans this season.
Yeah, I asked Sherry. I was like, who out there was an actual fan? And she gave us the list.
Yep, let's say it. Reynold didn't watch 1 episode. Eddie didn't watch 1 episode. Shamar didn't watch 1 episode. Like, literally not one. Did she say anybody else?
Justin's walking off set.
I know,
Justin's walking off set.
Bring in an IV. Bring in an IV.
It is frustrating. It's frustrating because Survivor does cast exactly the same way every single season.
Horrible.
Lynn Spiegel-Spielman, we love you, but you need to learn to start casting a little differently. Cast the way they used to cast. The show used to have such integrity and honor. Like, people love this show.
Right.
I'm just going to call her out because I'm not trying to get on the show anymore. But
I don't know if it's just her anymore. I think
know.
she's so busy that it's other people.
I understand, but she is definitely a part of it. And that whole casting team, like, maybe they need to relook at how, because, like, real fans of Survivor, the ones who've kept
There's
going for
plenty
26
of real
seasons,
fans out there.
Justin,
Right.
I mean, Justin, for one, I mean, this guy knows everything about he knows more about the show than I do, and I thought I was a big fan.
My friend Steve in San Diego has been in the front of the line every single open call casting at the front of the line. And that guy kicks butt. He's totally physical. He can climb walls. He can, you know, his scale buildings.
Which just makes makes so much more sense. Like, what was so compelling about Eddie? I mean,
nothing.
What was so, I mean,
or Reynold.
Or
and the thing
Shamar,
is,
like,
if they don't want to, if they want to cast those people, that's fine. I'm okay with that. Don't call it fans versus favorites.
No.
If you're not a true fan of the show.
The frustrating
I knew something was up when I was interviewing Eddie on the red carpet, and he kept telling me what it was like to be on Survivor.
he had no idea who she was. He didn't know who you were.
Not a clue.
And she was never discussed.
I never
Period.
brought
She never brought it up.
I love that you didn't bring it up.
Of course not. I just kept asking him. So what is it like, Eddie? Tell me what it's like to be on Survivor.
By the way, tomorrow, all of the interviews that Jerry and I did exclusively will be up on the site tomorrow.
To watch those.
I was like, he had no idea who I was.
As soon as he walked away, we were screaming. Literally screaming.
Wow.
Devastating. Well, there you go, Justin.
Damn.
Sorry to put the knife in your back.
Yeah,
Like,
there's a couple there.
Put that in your mouth and chew on it. So,
But I do think they should have at least tried a little harder to revive Eric, because I think it would have made everything a little more interesting, you know?
Right.
or gotten rid of him a little sooner so Brenda could stick around. Moving on. So the reward challenge. The reward challenge at the beginning of this episode, Jeff Probst announced that there will be an advantage for the final immunity, and they have to. We've seen this challenge before. They have to build a house of cards essentially.
That's a huge advantage.
With what huge
basically
advantage.
it was the immunity challenge.
Exactly. Well, we'll get there because there were opportunities for someone else to take that.
In the editing.
And of course. And this though.
Huge advantage.
And this though. Why is my mic sound funny all of a sudden? My headset sounds funny.
Ooh, I'm so riled up.
They have to build this house of cards.
I know.
And just like every time we see this challenge, either somebody makes it too flimsy or they use too many cards trying to make it too solid. They don't have enough cards to get to the top. Same thing every single season. This would be a hard one for me.
It'd be really hard.
To try to hold straight, like one card on there would be hard for me. Like an entire tower.
I can tell you that all of their strategy in the actual building was not thought through correctly, because I won the challenge where I had to build a tower out of cards that was about, I think it was about 15 feet high. Like I had to climb on top of a ladder.
Oh, I remember.
Yes.
Yeah, and part of that is, you don't keep setting the same thing. You got to set it sideways like
Because if you keep going the same, it'll slowly start to tilt by the top, won't it?
Yeah.
Gotta mix the weight up.
But that part
That's
holding
hard.
that's what makes that hard.
It's so much like balance and coordination.
Everybody was like,
Sherry's like using her teeth, and
my
you get, especially you get to the top and you're shaking.
I want to know how long that really took, because I mean that obviously took a long time.
Well,
Yeah,
and
I think
Cochran,
so.
his fell down 3 or 4 times before he eventually won.
I mean, he was
So
like, it was clear he was like the worst one, and then
All of a sudden, out of
pulled it
nowhere,
together.
there we go.
I think they always edit him that way. Oh, there's Cochran.
Yeah.
Boy, does he suck it.
The comeback kid.
Oh my God, he just won.
Yeah, shocking. So he does win, actually, and he gets an advantage for the final immunity challenge. He finds out later that the advantage
and
is...
again, these advantages this season and every season, it's an advantage. An advantage basically equals you win immunity.
Well, an advantage used to mean in a lot of seasons there would be like multiple layers, like we go down from 8 to 5 to 3 or whatever, and it just got you to the next round or something. Now it's a huge advantage,
Huge.
which again makes me feel like this is how they work. Oh, cool. Let's give Cochran a chance to be in the finale again.
That challenge would have probably been the immunity challenge if Eric were still in the game.
Yes.
So that's why they obviously changed it up.
Yeah.
Here we're going to throw in. That's what I think. We're going to throw in.
I was thinking the same thing.
I think that would have been the immunity challenge if Eric were still in the game.
Yeah.
And then since it wasn't, they kept the challenge and made it an advantage instead.
Which is great.
Because they were one person down.
Yeah.
I could see them doing that.
And they give Cochran another chance to win the whole show. Wow.
I'm glad Cochran won.
Yeah.
I know. I am too.
I love
He's a good
Cochran.
Since
winner.
Brenda's
I love him even
gone.
more now because
He's good.
I finally got
Because
to
he's
meet
worth
him.
$1 million? No.
Yeah,
You got to
Cochran.
meet him.
Yeah, because I finally got to meet him.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the first time you met him was this weekend?
Yeah.
Okay,
And
cool.
he's so charming.
I met him
he's really cool.
a couple years ago. Somewhere.
At our Halloween party. No, what did we do?
I met him somewhere.
Oh boy,
I
whatever.
don't remember.
Yeah.
So anyways.
Somewhere, whatever.
So now with Eric gone, they get to after the reward challenge. They do their thing. Their nostalgic survivor moment is what
I hate
Cochran
that
calls
part.
it. It drives me crazy. It's the what do they call it?
kinda like it.
The walk of fallen survivors. As a fan,
Fallen comrades.
fallen comrades. Yeah. As a fan. I watch it, I like it because it always happens, but it's so cheesy to me. And I'm like, oh, you're all being forced to say something about somebody that you can't stand.
Yeah.
So it just seems fake to me.
This is why I hated it.
is fake.
And I told
That's
Jerry,
why I
I
don't.
said, normally it's in this really beautiful setting. There's like waves crashing. There was like in a petting zoo. I can't remember I said petting zoo. She was screaming. Like it was like this like weird weeds in the middle of nowhere. And like the scariest part is I didn't remember like the first like 3 or 4 people. I'm like, who in the hell
I
are
know,
these
we
people?
were all saying that. We're like, oh, wait, I forgot she was in this.
Oh, completely. All the girls.
How about this? Justin and I, you were there too at the party afterwards. Like, I didn't even recognize any of them in real life. I'm like, I think she was on the show. I can't even tell who she is. They all clean up pretty nice.
The blondes.
The
Yeah,
blondes.
some blonde girl came
They
up to
all
me.
look the
She was
same.
totally gorgeous. She's like, oh my God, Jerry. And I'm like,
At least in years
Ryan, was
past,
she
like
on
some
the
of the
show?
like some of the early ones to go out were like kind of memorable, like Semhar. I don't know who, just to name a few. Semhar.
Don't even get me started on that
No, but this year was like a whole bunch.
I just
I-
met someone yesterday that knows her, and I said, funny you should mention her
Yeah, I
name.
had to go there.
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
complete trash.
gosh,
I'll talk about that
guys.
later.
Anyways, so but like this year was a lot of duplicates. All the guys kind of look the
I
same.
think the
little
one reason
blondes.
I do like it is because for me, watching in 26 seasons, it's a rite of passage in Survivor. Like, if you get that far, you earn the right to kind of do that.
I do
Even though it is
Yeah.
cheesy.
I do
It's
No,
still
it's-
like a rite of passage.
Don't get me wrong.
I would want to do it.
When I did it finally, my
Yeah.
third season, I enjoyed every second of it
See?
because
Right.
I made it that far.
Yeah.
But as a viewer,
Yeah, it's a rite
it's
of passage.
kind of like a
rite of passage for Eddie. He never seen it. He was experiencing it for the first time in his life. That's what's frustrating
The
about
part
it.
that I like about it is when they actually have the words of the fallen cast member,
And they
castaway,
show
and they
them.
actually talk about like what it was like.
Well,
or-
Brenda actually said, I'm glad you brought that up. Brenda actually said, she goes, you know what I learned this time around? She was like, I'm proud of the way I played. I played a lot different than I thought I would. And I learned that, you know, maybe it's not so black and white. Maybe things aren't so black and white all the time. And I thought that was really kind of poignant. Like, I feel like she actually is, and I know I talk about Brenda a lot, and you can all make fun of me for it, but she does have her dedicated fans, and I'm one of them. I feel like she really, you know what? Regardless, she wasn't going to win the game, but she played a respectable game, and I felt like she learned a lot, and I felt like she loved a lot. And you talk about love, I felt like she gave out more love than she got
Sure.
back, and I respect that. She didn't deserve to win the
she
game.
looked beautiful too. Let's just point
Oh,
that
she's
out.
stunning.
She's hot.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, she's like
She's beautiful.
beyond
Oh my
beautiful.
God.
that episode where she gave everyone her reward really won me over, but she lost more than she gained at the finale and the final tribal council. I'm sorry, but that was totally uncalled
No, and I can't wait to talk about that because I
and
actually,
disgusting.
yeah, I see. Yeah, I know more
And then
about
she
it.
didn't
so
even vote
yeah.
for Dawn.
Well, yeah, nobody did.
I know.
But that you can't put that on Brenda. Nobody voted
No,
for
I
Dawn.
get it, but don't make Dawn do that if you're not going to then vote for her.
Oh,
Just
Whatever.
don't make anybody do that, especially, yeah.
I get it. I do get it actually. But we'll talk about that later. And we all we'll disagree.
It's so hard to stay on track because there's so much
to talk
shenanigans.
about.
That's why I'm here, everyone. So moving on to the immunity challenge.
3 hours.
Blah, blah, blah. Get on to it.
We're
Finale.
day 38.
Talk about the party.
Day 38. Basically, the 4 of them have to run upstairs, untie these bags at different levels, slide
is a
down.
pretty big
It's
set again.
pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Slide down a slide, which was covered with like a fake linoleum. It was kind of cute.
Lube.
Yeah, lube. Oh, wow.
I hope so.
And then build a fire puzzle. Okay, and this is where Cochran's advantage comes in, where he doesn't have to untie any. And that's the most time-consuming part of this, other than the puzzle. It's untying the
A
bags.
fair advantage to me would be, oh, Cochran, your first 3 puzzle
Yeah.
pieces are in.
Yeah,
You know,
or you don't have to untie the first bag.
Yeah.
That would have been a big advantage.
all 3 bags.
But just to even do the untie things, I can't imagine, because as a viewer, it probably looks like it's a pretty simple thing, but like you're that tired, you're that exhausted, you're in the sun, you've been out there filming for forever. They're doing reshoots, whatever else is going on in production, and then you've got to like you're like whittling away to nothing. You're trying to untie 100 knots in a challenge.
Nervous.
And they also looked like there was major anxiety going down that slide because everyone fell really hard.
Yeah.
So like you're probably just like completely tensed up, and then I mean there was a lot. I actually thought that Cochran wasn't going to pull it together because he did fall behind right away.
Well, because he goes way out ahead very quickly, and then all of a sudden out of nowhere it was Dawn initially, and then even Sherri looked like she was kind of in there for a minute, and who knows how real that was, but they edit to a degree, but also sometimes they do pan out and show everything.
They did pan out, and Dawn had stuff in and Cochran didn't.
And who knows how long that lead really lasted, but he did come roaring back. And this is again where this is what frustrates me, and this is why when we do talk about the actual live reunion later, this is I can't wait to get into this a little bit more, but this is what frustrates me about Dawn this season. Again, Dawn, the person, the human, love her. She's a sweetheart. On the show, she drives me crazy because nothing, and I'm so glad, I think Reynolds brought it up and somebody else might have too, nothing seems genuine. The way she runs and hugs Cochran, oh, Cochran, oh! She's crying and hugging him, and it's like she's so proud of him, like it's the proudest moment of her life. I'm like, bitch, you're scared. You're paranoid, and we find out when he goes back to Stratton, and that's fine.
I didn't see that at all.
You're
I saw genuine happiness for Cochran winning because she felt very close to him, not only in the game, but she also felt like by his winning that she was getting to the finals.
Well, it's not that I don't. Okay, let me just clarify how.
I don't think it was fake at all.
I don't think that she, and they kind of alluded to this. I don't think that she's not being genuine or that she is being fake. However, I think it really comes across that way. And I don't think she's aware of that because when it was brought to her attention in the final tribal also, and even in the reunion, I don't think she sees it that way. And clearly maybe now watching back, she might.
Right. Yeah. Clearly, that's her biggest problem for the whole season. And like everybody except the three of us think that, but everyone thinks that she's fake. That's just why every time, you know, not to go back to the finale, but everyone was like booing and like not very nice to her the entire finale because everyone sees what you see. Yeah. Well, we know it's not true.
Well, I know her as a person too. She really is a really loving,
not true either, but she definitely
woman,
did come across
and that's
that
why
way.
I'm saying like she doesn't come across as genuine this time around as she did last time.
I think the one thing that stood out to me that really was kind of eye-opening to me about Dawn was one, the fact that she got 0 votes.
None.
And I think that really like. And how everybody kept saying you were so hard to live with and deal with and that sort of thing because of the paranoia. So it really kind of opened my eyes in the finale that she was this kind of crazy, paranoid kind of person in that environment. However, I don't think that she deserves the bashing.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
And also, I don't think the criticism of you can't be a mother and then a gamer in this game. I think that is bull.
And that has never, that has not once ever been my personal criticism.
Yeah.
I say just own up to it, which is why
she did the entire final chapter.
Yeah, a little, kind of. When Reynolds asked, I don't get to this. We'll get to this, but I don't think she did, from my perspective, and I don't think she did.
I think what you said was a good point. She realized and learned about herself. Maybe I do view myself a little bit different. That's something I need to work on.
That's something everybody does. Nobody sees themselves the way everyone sees them, ever. It's totally impossible. It's physically, humanly impossible.
I think it's unfair that she even has to
defend herself. Yeah, no, it's so frustrating.
But there's a reason that millions of people feel this way.
I don't care what millions of people think, honestly. They're basing it on a TV show that's edited for entertainment, which is why I walked out of that reunion that year. The same exact topic.
I get it, though.
And I will turn blue in the face defending Dawn.
Yeah.
And all of you people out there that hate her for her playing a hard game can suck my ass.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing.
Our next tattoo.
I
agree. Survivor.
But that's exactly the thing, though.
I've wanted to say that since this weekend.
I don't hate Dawn. I don't even actually dislike Dawn, though. I actually adore Dawn. I'm saying, as a viewer, though, because I've been on the other side of it too. I've gotten those blog things written about me, and I've had people attack me on Twitter saying that I'm this horrible, heartless asshole to my little sister and somebody who means very much to me, Ryan. You know, so I know what it's like to feel that, and it's horrible. And to have my family want to defend every single thing. But I will say this. I'm just saying I understand how a viewer might perceive her that way because it is a show that she did sign up for twice, so she understood. But what did kind of win me over with her is at that moment she made a comment right after that challenge, and I wrote down the quote because I thought it was actually kind of telling. She said, "There is a part of me that doesn't feel like I deserve to do good," and she was starting to like tear up when she said that. And that is the first time this season that I really, really related to her because I thought that was her most genuine moment for me of the entire season. Because there is that struggle inside of all of us, I think, and especially a good person like her. Obviously, she's a phenomenal woman. She's adopted 6 kids and raised them as her own children. She's a great person, and there is that constant struggle. I feel like she was spent much of the season in the gray area. I would have respected her much more if she'd gone completely to the dark side and been like, listen,
no,
this is how it is.
I disagree. I think it's ridiculous how you can sit there and say Brenda was about to backstab Cochran the next week, but because Dawn did it a week before, she's the bad guy in the situation.
I'm not saying she's a bad guy.
No, but what I'm saying is everybody, when we were at the finale, I got into a verbal argument with the woman sitting behind me because she kept booing and hissing at Dawn. I was like, are you kidding me? The double standard that Dawn faces entire season for being a mother and for actually being able to separate emotion from strategy, she took the game, took emotion out of her game, and played the game.
Well, and I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yeah.
I'm a Hillary Clinton supporter. Trust me, I understand double standards in women. I get it.
But it's not even that. I'm just saying in general, I just saw such a bias for Dawn.
It's crazy.
It was
so
ridiculous.
Well, yeah, and again, like Jerri knows better than any of us. The show's edited a certain way to get a certain reaction, and they're getting the reaction they want. You know.
Sucks.
Well, let's talk about this.
I think long term though. The only thing that I feel for Dawn, because she is a mother, someday or when your kids are watching this, like, I understand it's a game, but do people really understand that? Because if fans don't understand it, how do your kids look at you like, you did those things, Mom?
But
you know, like, how do you? I don't know.
Why can Boston Rob do those things and his daughters with Amber? Why can he? That's
I'm not saying it's any different. I'm not saying it's any different.
Trust you me, her kids are gonna look at her and think she's the coolest mom who's ever lived. She's played Survivor twice. She made it to the finals.
Even if she was bad,
and
you
they
love your
are
family no matter
proud
what,
of her, and they have
usually.
every reason to be proud of her. And Dawn should not feel bad about a single thing that she did. And you know, for me personally, the only thing that got on my nerves about her was just how much she cried.
Yeah.
I would say
I understand that there are things we don't know about that really caused a lot of stress in her life, and that's what people forget is that they're not characters. They're human beings.
There had to be some other personality issue with her, though, and I will have to say that because, you know, Dawn was invited to come here today. She had to fly home, but there were certain cast members that were on the jury that refused to even come into the studio with us today because they don't want to even be in the same room with her.
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to say who it was.
You know what? That's what happens every season, honestly.
Really?
Yes, there's always
but remember,
some
you were standing right there, but the argument that person made was, I just don't believe one thing from her mouth is like genuine. And this is people who spent 39 however many days.
But here's the thing, people. They were playing a game together.
I get that, but they have just as much of a right to feel that way as she does to feel the way she does.
This is the thing. The game's over, and now she can go on living her life the way she lives her life, which is probably being a great mom and a very positive person. Now, everybody else that played the game with her needs to remember they were playing a game, and once the game is over, then you can hang out with people and get to know them like you've never met them before, because you don't get to know somebody in that game. You just don't. There is not a single shred of truth to anything that happens out there.
But some people do, though.
And people that realize and understand that can move past it when it's over.
Well, to my girl's credit, Drea, she said the best thing at Tribal, which I'm jumping ahead again, but you know, she just says, "I'm not mad at any of you guys. I gave you guys all mad props," and that's exactly the right attitude you need to have.
The same way.
Philip's the same way too, except maybe with the brand thing. But but do you know what I mean? It's like the game is over. She gave him mad props or whatever, and she's she's just completely cool.
I think the hard thing is that when you're looking at somebody you look at Brenda, or you're looking at Andrea, or you're looking at Reynold, like these like hot young like whatever. I would expect them to backstab me. I think the issue comes with these young girls being backstabbed by a motherly figure. I think that's where all the visceral anger comes from, because she was kind of the mother of the tribe.
Well, then that's that girl's issue.
And I understand that.
And that gives me more reason to vote for her.
She needs to go home and talk to her mom and work out her issues with her mom, because clearly that's what she brought into the game.
And that's fine, but that's a whole separate thing. That's not the point. What I'm saying is I understand why these people might feel this way. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying Dawn is a hero or a villain.
I'm on the same page.
Ryan understands me. I'm just saying I can empathize with why they might feel that way.
Well, it just happened too.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like a huge wound that was kind of healing over, and once they watch the finale, it gets ripped open again.
Right.
Because they shot it, I mean, last summer.
Yeah, people are very raw, and I understand that. But I'm just going to say that I've made friends with people from the series after I hated them on the show, and I got all emotional about it. And afterwards, I met them, and I was like, you know what? Oh my gosh, you are a great person. I would not want to play the game with you.
We still hate everybody who beat us.
It's a bonding experience in terms of, like, I run these games for just friends and family, and even in those weekends, people bond. I can't imagine spending 39 days, and then you go through this whole experience. You can't relate to anybody who hasn't been on that about that experience.
Exactly.
So you get over those betrayals, you get over that, and that's why going into the game, just play your heart out.
Right, and there's so much more than the 42 minutes. Clearly, I mean, we're going on multiple days sometimes on one episode. Like, it's 24 hours is a long time.
It's about 3 days per episode on the average.
Yeah, which is to your point of the fact that someone wouldn't want to necessarily come in because of Dawn. There's something
else there.
There's something there.
There always is.
You know?
And what's also interesting, like Dawn said, she shut down her Twitter because she was just over it. It's also a whole different dynamic that adds to the game after the game now.
Right.
Richard Hatch, season 1, didn't have to deal with people like lambasting him on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook all day, every day.
Back then there were chat rooms.
Sure, there were chat rooms.
And they were ugly.
But the difference is now I think Jeff Probst mentioned
says it goes straight to you.
It goes straight to you. I can tweet right now, and Jennifer Lopez might read it, and she might have a reaction to it. She might tweet back to me. You know, like whatever it is. You don't agree with a judge on a singing show or a competitor on Survivor. You can get directly to that person now in a way that's never really been possible, and that's a lot to deal with.
Especially when the tweets are like, "Hey, you need to die. You're a terrible.
Go hang yourself."
Like right? Or the gay bashing with us. It was just.
I was told that I looked like I got hit by a semi truck. My teeth are so bad. I mean, I took it personally, and I'm like,
I can see that, though.
I wouldn't even start to go into the things that have been said about me because it's giving the people who write them some credit.
Absolutely.
And I just don't have time for it anymore.
In that case, I'll read them right now.
Grab your cozy and sit back.
For the after show, I will be reading the Jerri Manthy tweets.
So, oh my God, who does that? Like Jimmy Kimmel does that with celebrities. He has celebrities come on and read tweets that were tweeted about them, and the celebrities actually read them. It's hilarious.
Well, a lot of those celebrities are publicists.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Too funny.
Yeah, exactly.
So
manipulation of the media.
I'm feeling dizzy in here, like Eric. Hungry.
We need IV bags stat.
IV, please.
Let's take a moment.
I didn't even get any water.
Yeah, where's our cocktail?
Where's my water?
We're supposed to be drinking right now.
I know. And eating pizza.
And pizza. So right before we get to the
hungry.
final Tribal 4, something happens that really just stood out to me, and I have to mention this because it cracks me up. I love how because Eddie's going on and giving all these explanations as to why he thinks he can win this game, right? And why he'll get all the jury votes. He says if he wins the $1 million, what does he want to do? Build a bar that can have dogs come in so people and dogs can hang out together.
We talked to him at the,
On the red carpet,
and his answer just baffled us just as much as it did at the finale.
What did he say?
Because I think I mentioned to him, I said, you realize that you can bring your dogs to bars now, so it's not like they have patios.
I think he actually wanted to create a veterinarian's office / bar, so that you drop your dog off to get spayed or neutered, and then go have a cocktail. Well,
do you know what's funny though? In that I read this.
Yeah, he's not the brightest bulb in the box. He's very cute,
right?
But he should.
Which is funny. He says stuff like that that's just ridiculous. But how he was explaining the medevac thing to Eric,
so smart.
Was like he sounded like who's this person? I was like, he's so hot now. He's so smart.
I was confused because all of a sudden I was like, who's talking? I was looking at his lips. I'm like, is that Eddie?
Right. And I read some of the people in chat room stuff. They were saying like he should replace.
They want him to be the new med.
Right. Be the new med person because he's on the show. But also he just was like he was actually calmed Eric down during that moment, which we don't know if that was all acting too, but.
I know. I wonder if my favorite med person is gone because she's usually the one that comes in. She's got really long black hair. I can't remember her name. She's from Australia.
Australian woman saved me. She's from Mark Burdett's team too. It could have been the same crew.
Probably, yeah.
Really cool.
She's amazing. I didn't see her in the episode. I was like, oh no.
Just a little sidebar, you guys, real quickly to give a shout out to my home state of Ohio. In Columbus, Ohio, there is actually a laundromat that has in it a tanning salon and a bar all attached into one thing.
Now that's smart.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Isn't that genius?
That makes perfect
While you're
sense.
doing your laundry.
And you have a liquor store that has a pizza parlor in the liquor store.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's a wine shop.
It's called the Wine Store in my
you're from
hometown of Salina, Ohio. Yeah.
Oh,
I just give a
everything
shout out
makes
to the
sense
Wine
now.
Store.
Exactly.
After we were on our show, we went back and they gave us free pizza. We were so excited. We grew up on it. We loved it. It's so good.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh.
Bless Eddie.
So the final tribal council. I wrote down this question, and I want to see you guys' take on this. Does Cochran come across to you guys this season? Because he kind of had a similar metamorphosis to Dawn, I feel like. Did he come across as cocky or confident this season?
Confident.
He came across as Cochran.
Yeah.
I would say both.
Yeah.
He had these little smirks where he just knew, and it was a self-admitted sociopath on the game.
Yeah.
He really was. You could see him like in his head just going crazy with it. And some things like when someone would get voted off, he would just have this like smirk, and they would always catch him, and it was just like.
Well, and I bring it up because I feel like he and Dawn did have a similar path. I feel like he just kind of got it right. And Dawn just a little bit skewed. And I feel like, do we all have those friends? You might have a friend who they've been your friend for a long time, and there's always that kind of like passive type of kind of like annoying kind of like whiny kind of person. You're like, just stand up for yourself. It drives me crazy. I've had friends like this before,
right,
where I just want to be like, stand up for yourself. But then once they start to stand up for themselves, it's like they get way too much confidence,
right,
and it becomes annoying and kind of like off-putting. I feel like that's kind of almost where Dawn started to get. Whereas Cochran, I feel like I'm like, it's kind of sexy on him.
I'll tell you what
I don't think Dawn ever seemed confident to me, not even for a second.
I'll tell you what it is. Sorry, is every person that does well on Survivor, where they think they did something to alter the game, they have their interviews and they have this full cocky moment. You just talked about Eddie. We talked about Malcolm on the beach. I can't wait to take control of this game. Sherry's like, I'm running this with Shamar. Like, they all have these moments. And
you mean Shamu?
Shamu. Cochran had the exact same thing. I think it's natural because you're like, I'm kind of the man right now. All these people are wrapped in my fingers, but he didn't really display that much. It was more so just with his looks and like maybe just a couple. You know, he hides his emotion, and his comedic answers are part of his like defense mechanism, and like that's how it comes across.
I'm just really bummed that he said he's not going to be a lawyer. He's so well spoken.
I know, that was disappointing.
And I do hope that he does write some books, because I will read them. He's just so,
I would definitely buy any book written by Cochran.
He's so smart.
I love that he said the gift of gab. It's like such a gay deal.
That's what
he totally does.
That's so old school. I love it.
One thing with Cochran, when you were saying is he cocky, he definitely grew in terms of the being confident in the game. One thing that stood out to me when you asked that question was how Dawn pointed out that she felt she had to make the intrapersonal relationships with people that really helped their alliance. Like Brenda feeling like Dawn had her back the entire time in these personal relationships, where Cochran was more like the jester of the tribe, kind of the mascot type one. When he won immunity, everybody was rooting for him. Yeah, you finally won immunity. So he had that role where he could be more confident and cocky, where I agree with Jerri. Dawn never had that because she was paranoid.
I'm actually super excited to talk about that because I might actually surprise you guys my view on that.
And she, like, where Cochran, you know, obviously he established relationships and friendship with these people, but it didn't seem like he dug as deep as Dawn went with these people.
Right.
You know.
So before we get to that, though, I just want to quickly, we come to this last tribal, and I like how Eddie and Sherry basically they went right for Dawn. They both said, let's get rid of Dawn, which is funny though because Sherry lied, but that's how she played it, which I'm not really sure why. It doesn't really make any sense. It didn't seem like there's a benefit. I thought there could be a tie leading up to that, but it didn't happen. And I'm not going to say anything more about Dawn, but I want to talk about what we were just talking about though. That is true. When I look at this season, I think that the biggest game maker the entire season for me by far is Dawn. It really is.
Yes.
However, I'm playing devil's advocate here because I'm not saying that I don't like her. I'm saying I understand why people don't. I feel like had she not done what she'd done at every single juncture throughout the game, Cochran would have never have had the opportunities he had.
Right.
She was the one who everybody went to because they trusted her. She's the one, and I get that. And then she would go to Cochran, and that's why they would vote the way they would vote. She was in control of the game. I understand that, and I respect that. I would have preferred that she'd won over Cochran, but that's just me. Now, that's me saying that, having also said.
Did I just hear that come out?
No.
Where did that come from?
I think Ryan.
She made huge moves.
Ryan understands how my brain works. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I'm just saying I can understand why people have such hatred towards Dawn.
Yes.
It hurt me because of Brenda. I love Brenda. However, as a gamer, I wouldn't have had a problem with Dawn winning because she really was integral to everything. Cochran just sat back.
Right.
You know, so I get that. Did she make that argument very well in the final tribal? I don't think so.
Right.
She did, though.
She did a little bit, but she could have brought it home just a little bit more. It was just, it wasn't super clear.
She's not as well spoken as Cochran. There's no doubt about it. There's nobody in that whole game that was as well spoken as him, and
I think she was nervous too.
I mean, he handled the questions so
Not
well.
As nervous as Sherry.
She was a mess.
Let's
give Sherry a couple minutes. I'm glad you said that. Let's just give her a couple quick minutes. She was so.
Sherry.
When we come down to that final three, let's just go there right now. She was so awkward and awful.
She was so nervous.
It was also, why would she say that she's a business owner and all that? That stuff just didn't really fly or wasn't appropriate.
I get what she was trying to say was, I hid this from you, and I played this game like I run my businesses. I was calculating. But it just
Why don't you explain this, Justin? Because we hung out with her a lot, you know, on Sunday night. Remember, she talked to you and said what she said about how her role was.
So one thing I said to her, we met her for like I met her for like 5 minutes
during the cocktails.
I said to her, I was like, I can understand what you did in the game as a fan. You went into these merges where you were on the outs. You went into an entire huge alliance on the outs. you did what you had to do by taking a step back and integrating yourself in the alliance.
There was nothing else she could have done.
There was nothing else you could have done. You could not have taken a Dawn or a Cochran role because you didn't have the power, but you did what you needed to do in order to get to the final 3. You just didn't bring it home in terms of explaining it like that.
And that's a respectable game to a degree. It's a respectable game to get you to a finale.
And one thing I even said this season, I kept thinking like Eddie and
get it.
Like this
Jerry's getting more hate
towards the end of the season, I kept thinking, oh, Eddie and Reynolds are the last fans. Oh, Eddie's the last fan. Forgetting that Sherri, was it ever was forgetting Sherri was in the game, or I lumped her with the favorites because she integrated herself so well with them, whether it was flying under the radar, or she did what she had to do and could do.
She just didn't explain it that way at all.
She didn't explain
Not
it that
even
way.
a little
You guys are
bit.
going to love me or hate me right now, but I'm going to say she played a Christina Cha game, and I love Christina as a person. She's a friend of mine, but Christina Cha never had a chance to win that game. It was always Kim and Chelsea.
Yeah.
Always. This entire season was always Cochran and Dawn.
Yeah.
And if you weren't in that top 2, you had no chance of being anywhere. You know, so I feel like she did one of those things where she wasn't the strongest player in the game.
No.
She definitely wasn't the weakest player in the game, but she made the move she had to make and stick with the people she had to stick with to get that far. And that's all the further you're going to get, though.
She's a huge fan, and and you could see in the first half of the season, she was running that tribe. She knows how to run the game.
She's smart.
She named her first son after Colby.
Yeah.
No, she did.
Yeah, she did.
Really?
Oh my
She's
God.
a real fan.
She
Those
knew
are the
who
fans.
I
I
was.
love that.
Which why they never said
Love
that on air
that.
is unbelievable to me, because
awesome.
that's
Honestly,
a great point.
And she's smoking hot.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Hello.
I wouldn't be
Sexy.
surprised to see her come back in a few seasons.
In an opportunity where she's not in a position of being powerless.
Yeah.
She knows she made that decision, but she clearly messed up in the final Trouble Council.
Well, keeping Tribe,
Yeah.
you're keeping Tribe. Keep in mind, the very first immunity challenge of the entire season was won by the fans, and then it went downhill quickly.
But
What's so funny, because we told her that we
the
call
fans.
her Sandra Bullock, and
Yeah.
she's like, oh, I get that all the time. And then she was like, Shamar was my the blind side.
side.
Like, she said or something like, oh my God, we were saying that on our own.
I don't know if I'd share that story with too many people, Sherri. That's funny. I like that though. And then I love what Cochran said when they were going through their well, Dawn, first of all, she had a quote in the final tribal that I really liked. She said, I knew I came out here and I have to be willing to tackle.
Yeah.
And I thought that was kind of cool. You know, because she had a
Football
different.
analogies work with America.
They really do, and she had that mindset, and she executed it. Now she got some feedback she didn't want, but she went for it, and I can commend that.
One more thing is
So-
Sherri. Let's talk about the read of all reads to Eric. Made him sit down.
Okay, but although
yeah, we gotta talk about
that was also in the editing, because he apparently, I read in an article today that was posted on entertainmentweekly.com, he didn't actually sit down and it continued beyond
Really?
that.
Well,
But they
Sherri
edited it that way.
Sherri says he sat down and that was done.
Whether he sat down then or eventually he sat down,
Yeah.
she sat him down.
He also said in Entertainment Weekly that his medevac was real, so I don't know if he's too credible at this point.
It was so shocking to me that Eric went hard on Sherri for not making
What? For
no reason.
moves.
What was that?
Eric, did you look at how you played the game? You had opportunities in the game where you could have made moves and you never did.
Yeah.
You did exactly what Sherri did, in terms of not making a big move.
Yep.
Except Sherri was making huge moves before the whole
Yes.
merge thing happened.
Where Eric didn't make one move the entire season, and then he goes off Sherri like that.
I think at that
was so
point,
crazy.
I think at that point it was pretty clear to Sherri that she wasn't going to get a single vote.
No.
She had no chance of winning anything, and I think that she was probably like, "Screw it, you know what? Sit down. I don't want to
good.
listen to your ass right now. Sit
That
down."
was
She's a mother,
So-
he's a kid.
Yeah.
Sit your ass
yeah,
down, literally.
I mean, I was very shocked by
Yeah,
that.
in
we
the
stood
real
up
world,
out of our
yeah.
seats when we were
Like,
cheering.
What?
In the
Eric,
real world, you would never allow some kid to talk to you like that.
Ever.
Yeah.
And it was just like, why? Eric, he's the nicest guy, and he's just trying to pick a fight with Sherri? Like, where is this coming from?
Yeah, that was a bit
Yeah.
odd.
It was
I didn't
so
understand
weird.
it.
It was really
I think he
weird.
went there thinking like, I'm gonna get up there and get crazy. Sherri didn't do nothing. I'm gonna bring the jig is up, but like
The jig is
You know
up.
what? I think there might have been
Everyone
some
already
steroids in his IV. That's what it was. He
Yeah.
was having a little roid
I mean,
rage.
a week that Eric and Sherri could have made a move or Eric could have made a huge move, a game-winning move, was when he knew Andrea was getting voted off, told her to play the idol, and then flipped the game to him and Andrea.
Absolutely.
He could have made a huge move that week.
That's
doesn't.
true.
He didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Oh, Eric.
Sorry, Eric.
You've got beautiful hair, though.
And he has some really cool comics that he's working on. They're
Yes.
really super cool. I love his artwork.
Well, I also loved in this final tribal, there's a few things I just wanted to point out before we get to the actual finale. Cochran, he made the point that he said, you know what? Yeah, I thought I came out here and I could probably do 1 of 3. I could probably outwit. He's like, but I don't even think I did that necessarily. He's like, what I did do, and I quote, I beat people in timing. And that's
It's all timing.
quite quite an observation to make, to be out there and to be that aware, because that really beyond luck. That really is what Survivor I feel like comes down to.
Yeah.
It's about
right
knowing when to pick your battles and when to just back off, and when to, like. And he also said he's like, you have to always be aware, and like I think they talked about this later, like Boston Rob. This is the Boston Rob mentality. And I think Philip might have mentioned it or somebody in the finale.
Who didn't?
You have to go to bed.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was there.
Yeah, of course. But you have to go to bed.
He has his own book now too.
Of course. But you always have to go to bed thinking about everybody else, what is best for everybody else, and be one step ahead of them always.
Yep. Right.
And that's a tricky thing to do, especially when you're hungry and tired. And
that's a very, very, very interesting and great piece of advice. And when he said that, I went, wow, you know, I honestly can say I never went to bed thinking about anybody but, well,
sleep.
Food.
Who can we eat? No.
I was like, please let me go to sleep. Please let me go to sleep. Please. What's cupcakes? Oh, stop. Go to sleep.
And I think that's like for an example of like Andrea. Andrea was one of the biggest gamers of the season. And
kind of surprisingly, actually.
She was great.
Yeah. God, I wasn't surprised.
I was.
She had those.
I know her. I was kind of.
Really?
I was totally surprised.
I hung out with her a few times.
From
like,
her first season, I totally saw that. But I think she was ready to make those moves, but she didn't get it first. You know, and that's what Cochran did better.
And she let a boy get in the way.
And I actually wrote that down too, because she mentioned that both times boys got in the way.
Yeah,
you know, you can't.
That's a lesson you learn when you're young, and then when you get older, you look back and you kick yourself several times and never do it again.
Yeah, yeah.
Colby versus Coach.
How about when I think it was Malcolm, he was talking about what is it about you? What is it about you that's so? I don't forget who asked him this, but
it was Malcolm.
When he said my insecurity. Yeah. It's my insecurity that.
It was a great answer.
So
I remember thinking, wow, that's an amazing answer.
That's what made him so enduring.
I can't imagine you ever being insecure. That's what he says to Malcolm.
Yeah. That's what makes him enduring. That's why people cheer for him when he wins immunity compared to, shoot, I didn't win immunity. Oh my gosh, Cochran won immunity, yay! It's that insecurity, it's that humility that he has and that self-deprecation that he brings to himself that makes him likable.
I think everyone knew it was game over once he made it to the final because he just
his answers were.
That's why honestly,
so smart.
I don't buy the favorite winner. I love Malcolm, especially after meeting him in person, but I would put money down on it that Cochran actually did win.
Whoa!
I would, because look at the people that are out there on the internet, the people who Twitter, the people who are on Facebook, people who don't leave the house, people who are kind of nerdy and geeky, and I say that because I'm actually a closet nerd, but those are the people that are voting. Those are the people that are making the phone calls and getting on the internet, and they're the ones that are out there.
But I would say this too, in the popularity contest, you know, Malcolm has way more Twitter followers than everybody else. Like he has these tons of little girls
fresh
that
off last
live
season.
for him. Like he has all this whole other fan group that are in those chat groups. That little girl that spoke, like she's not in those fan groups. I'm sure her parents, all these other people send me letters on what's it called, Facebook or whatever, asking if I can get his autograph and mail it to him. I'm not even kidding, because like, oh, you know Malcolm, can I please get his autograph? Like his popularity is pretty.
He was
big.
just on the show a few months ago.
In the finale, whenever Malcolm said one comment, the whole crowd was applauding.
And how about he was just on The Bold and the Beautiful? I mean, come on, he's a terrible actor, but I mean that was so am I. But I also like Cochran's answer. I think it was Reynolds who asked him, you know, where do you Reynolds or Malcolm? Whoever asked him, he's like, where would you see yourself? At the bar, behind us, in front of us. He's like, I'd be at the bar. I wouldn't be so close to you because I'd have a woman on either side of me, but I'd be at the bar.
Yeah.
Like that is not the Cochran that was on the show 2 years ago.
I thought that was hilarious.
Such a good answer.
Yeah,
I was waiting for him to go, what are you talking about? I'll be buying everybody beers.
Yeah. Right. No, I'm going to own the bar, bitches.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that's exactly where I'm going. Let's talk about Brenda and the whole teeth incident, because when I heard about it before I saw it, because I actually didn't get to go to the finale, I had other stuff I had to prep for. But when I watched it, I'd already heard about it, so I had in my mind I was expecting to hate Brenda when I saw it, and I know some people do, maybe some people in this room because of it.
I don't hate her at all.
Well, I'll let you guys talk first. What do you guys think about the way it went down? Brenda asking Dawn to take her teeth out in front of everyone.
First, I was in a state of shock, especially when she was completely adamant about it and kept saying over, do it then, do it then, do it then, do it. It was just this weird, ugly, awkward, uncomfortable moment of like being a bully And it went against everything that she showed me earlier that made me love her. Her being selfless and giving and kind and loving and having a dad who gave her this great advice and like all this stuff was totally taken away from me because she proved to me that she was a bully. And I think it was so unnecessary for Dawn to humiliate herself on national television for Brenda's amusement and to make her feel better. And it didn't do any of that. It just made for like this really awkward, weird moment. And I can't believe that there hasn't been more backlash about that. Like, why didn't Brenda get backlashed for that? Because to me, that is way worse than voting someone off of Survivor.
Right.
That's the way Survivor works.
Because she's pregnant.
Right.
I mean, that's probably that could be part of the reason.
Yeah, the rules of Survivor is someone goes home every tribal.
Point.
Like, let's not get crazy. And like, she should have just went up there and just pleaded her case, did the whole sympathy thing, and like had her moment and said, "You really betrayed me." And she could have wrecked her game just as easily as opposed to completely destroying her, knowing that she has a mother and she's adopted all these kids, and just like to do that to someone on television that was that insecure about something is just like out of control. Because everyone goes on Survivor knowing they're going to get off the show eventually. So it's like, so you got sent home a little bit early. That's just what happens in Survivor.
I think one thing that a little different from in terms of those two ideas is I was kind of like, good, like Dawn, awesome that you took. Like she shouldn't have had to be in that position for one.
No.
But the fact that Dawn was like, no, I would not have quit the game. You know, that was never gonna happen. And then she did take her teeth out. I was like, just wow. Like here she is doing it and just proving like, listen, here we go, boom. To me, I didn't feel embarrassed. I mean, obviously she probably is embarrassed. I know people are tweeting pictures of it, and that's just horrible. But I kind of was like, good for you, Dawn. Like you are, for me, I was like, you are proving how bad you want this, and the fact that you're doing this in front of millions of people when this is such an insecure part of your life. It's crazy to me, and I agree. She should never have been in that position.
It was difficult to watch.
It was hard to watch.
They shouldn't have shown it.
It was so hard to watch.
That's also something
It was hard to
I
watch.
think it should not. It should have been edited out of the show.
It was
It did
hard to
not
watch.
change anything other than making Brenda an unlikable person.
Right.
It was hard to watch. Yeah,
You guys
it
notice
was
how
really
quiet I was the last few minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now I expect that for the next couple of minutes, okay?
Oh, God.
Oh, good. Don't expect anything.
No, I gave you some
That's how
respect.
you get disappointed.
I stayed quiet. Okay, so
Take notes.
here's the thing. I think that does it make Brenda look a little bit more her age?
Bitchy?
More her age? Yeah, it does. Was it her proudest moment? Probably not. Was I a little bit taken aback by it? Of course I was. I thought it was kind of gross, actually. I understood her reasoning in her head, though. And would she have done that at the actual finale? I don't think so. But in the heat of the moment, I can at least empathize with why she may have felt that she had to do that, because the reasoning she gave Dawn, and Dawn really, I feel like, missed an opportunity here, because Dawn could have immediately been like, yeah, look, no, she didn't. It took a while to get to that point. Just from what we saw, who knows how much longer it took. So when she made the comment that she wouldn't have, she told Brenda, I wouldn't have kept going had that, and then Brenda's like, okay, was that true or not? And she's like, well, I would have kept playing. Okay, prove it. Prove it. You want my vote?
Yeah,
prove
but
it.
It doesn't matter if she didn't do it right away.
I didn't interrupt you guys. I don't feel like for Brenda though, this is $1 million question.
Yeah.
This is $1 million she's going to give to somebody. And for Brenda, she has every right to ask and to put her in a position that had Brenda not done what she had done weeks prior, Dawn would have been in that position the entire season. Then would we not air the entire season?
Do you genuinely think Brenda, she got what she wanted out of it? She got Dawn to do it. She didn't vote for Dawn. So why make Dawn go through that if you're actually not going to put your money where your mouth is and then vote for Dawn?
Because I think it took a lot. I think it took a lot of goading on Brenda's part to get to that point.
But it doesn't matter. She did it. Brenda probably went to that tribal council with 0% chance of voting for Dawn.
Probably.
So then why make her do this?
She was hurt. She was hurt by somebody. I can understand why people do things they're hurt.
Get the F over it, people. It's a game, and if you can't handle the consequences when you get voted off, don't play the damn thing to begin with.
But here's the thing, though. It is a game. It's obviously a game, and people get heated. You're getting heated right now. But
I'm on fire.
There are emotions involved, and the emotions are very real. I'm not saying they're right. I'm not saying Brenda should have done that. I think it was gross. Had Brenda done that to my mom or someone I cared about, I would have fucking been, sorry, I would have been after her. I would have. Yeah. But I can understand why she might have felt the need to do that.
When emotions are involved, you do crazy things. We all get that. But I guess if you're going to make her do that, then vote for her.
Yeah.
Vote for her.
But like we said, that there's more to it because nobody else voted for her. So there's more to this whole story that we don't know. And I do.
Yeah, but the story we're talking about is the one where Brenda makes Dawn take out her teeth.
And I did not condone that at all. I just say, I'm just saying, I'm not
shame on you, Brenda. Shame on you.
I don't condone it, but I like to try to understand people's motives, and I try to kind of empathize with people.
I do too.
Yeah, we all do. And also, I am proud of Brenda for when they.
We all know you're proud of Brenda.
But in the finale, let's go to the live reunion. In the finale, she did accept her apology because Dawn also understood as an adult, as a woman, that she played her part in all of this.
But here's a question for you:
she did hurt Brenda as well.
Why not pick? Why, when Dawn's trying for months to apologize to you, why wait to do it on TV to accept the apology?
Because it's fake.
Yeah, well, they also said they had communicated before that. So
no, they said that they hadn't talked.
They talked one day at Ponderosa, and then they haven't spoken.
They haven't spoken since that moment, and then it was all, "I forgive you."
And I have to say, Ryan and I, we talked about this several times at how ridiculous it was that Brenda got to Skype in, and then Dawn was forced basically to apologize. Now, let me just say that has never happened in the history of Survivor, where somebody who has been unable to get past the hurt they feel because they got voted off, they get an apology
She's also
from the
at the
person.
end of a pregnancy. You're not supposed to fly in the third trimester.
So I'm not talking about that.
She's talking about the apology.
I'm talking about the apology. Nobody deserves an apology, and if you're going to do it once, Jeff, you better do it to every single person from all the other seasons who feel like they deserve an apology for somebody.
What was your main point that you said when we were sitting there? You said that this would never happen if it was two guys ever, and I completely agree with you. I mean, they didn't have Philip and Brandon up there.
Yeah.
That's true.
That just,
Brandon
just is always. This would never happen. How many guys hate each other on the show?
Let me just tell you, Boston Rob has never apologized to Lex. And that
from All-Star Season 8
would be the biggest apology in Survivor history.
Huge.
And that was not forced to happen.
Right.
So why throw it out now? Because it's two women that are in this little battle.
You want to know why?
It's disgusting.
I feel like one or both of them will be back.
Well, Brenda, clearly.
I think Brenda will definitely come back. I wouldn't be surprised to see Dawn again. I wouldn't hate it. I do think Brenda will be back because I think Brenda's one of those people who
gained more love this season.
I think that she's one of those people
for one day, for one episode.
I don't think so. I loved her the entire season.
Well, we know that.
I know, but a lot of people did, or there wouldn't be such a backlash. There wouldn't be this heated argument and discussion over it.
No, part of the reason why there's such a backlash is because Dawn is a woman. If she was a man making the moves that she made, on this show, we wouldn't be having this discussion. We'd be talking about how amazing Dawn is, D-O-N, but the male version of her.
Right.
We've talked about how unbelievable and tough that game was that he played.
I understand that, and I'm
she's a woman.
I'm intelligent enough to understand that point, but the fact remains it doesn't matter. People are talking.
When a woman on Survivor or Big Brother or any of these reality shows is just a strategic player, most of the time they're going to be a bitch. Yeah. But if it's a man, they're a strategic gamer.
I get it. Again, Hillary Clinton. I love Hillary Clinton. Right. My grandmother, for years, all she ever said about Hillary Clinton, she's a bitch. Why won't you vote for her, Grandma? She's a bitch. What don't you like about her politics? She's a bitch. Can't give me a reason, but she's a bitch. Yeah. I get it. It's a double negative, a double not double negative.
But let's talk about. I mean, we haven't even talked about how the pre-jurors weren't even on the set.
Oh God, let's talk about that for a moment. How would you have felt if you'd gone to a finale and you didn't get invited on the stage?
I was so angry.
What was the point? Angry.
Well, let's just talk about this. You know, when we arrived to the finale, they searched our cars to make sure that Brandon Hance.
They searched your trunk.
Me too.
All the trunks.
Too. And they had a note by my name. I think they just knew that I'm friends with Russell and everything. And like they made Rob take off his hat and his glasses, and they came around flashlights, and they had looked through the pictures to make sure it's not.
So Brandon was banned.
Clearly, Brandon and Russell were banned. Okay. And so, you know, the thought is what people are saying. They didn't have them on stage to show what's obviously missing.
The elephant in the room.
Right. Which
Brenda was missing. They didn't mind not having her.
They explained it, but there was no explanation given. Period. And like the Twitter feeds and the shenanigans between the Hanses talking about the whole thing was just.
And so everybody else who had this once in a lifetime experience doesn't get to go on stage because of Brandon.
Total bullshit, and I felt so bad for those people because everyone puts in the same amount of time, whether
Right.
you win or you're the first voted out. You are gone from your family, from your life for the same amount of time. You get put on this show just to get that to that point. Takes months and months of physical exams, you know, all kinds of psych exams, everything like that. So
it completely is intrusive on your life for sure. It's a full thing, but let's also
it's disrespectful not to show them their what they deserve, which is to be
like
seen.
they have family fly in for this big event. It's like for a lot of people, it's the biggest thing they've ever been to.
Every finale, he does not talk to every single cast member.
For the most part,
but he does but they're at least. He always talked to some of the pre-jurors
but you get
about
to
something.
see
There's
them.
a funny
As
story.
a fan, you want to see what they look like after the show. You want to see look how they made up. And look at it. Corinne, for example, made much more of an impact on this season to me than Eric did.
Of course.
So I'd rather see Corinne up there.
But Eric didn't even get one question.
You know, what does Corinne have to say? And these other people. Matt, we loved Matt. Matt was one of the fans.
Rudy got
who's a real fan.
Love Matt.
You know, but then we give airtime to people who had no impact.
Rudy. Let's talk about Rudy. Making the gay comments and like the whatever, like, and then Jeff Probst, like, you're the only person who can get away with saying that.
I love Rudy.
I mean, that's great, but I'm like, why are they interviewing Rudy and Boston Rob and a girl with braces when they're not even talking to their own cast members from the season? It's ridiculous.
Clearly they had time they needed to fill up with other stuff because they didn't have anybody else to talk to.
Well,
I mean, it was just so surreal to me. Like, I thought there was something wrong.
There was an article today that came out that Jeff said that there wasn't enough room on the stage.
They
That's
built
ridiculous.
the stage.
That's
They
what it
built
said.
it.
They could move
and
those
that
tiki
Brandon
huts
chose,
back
Yeah,
a little bit.
move a brush.
Brandon chose not to come.
Right.
They obviously were making some cuts too. I mean, there was no band this year. I don't know if you guys
I know.
noticed that.
Oh, yeah.
I miss
Just
seeing Russ
budget
Landau.
cut.
No live
I love
music.
giving him a hug.
All of the people who were the non-jury people were tweeting like crazy,
Oh, they were
especially
pissed.
Corinne. She was just like, "This is ridiculous. This is embarrassing."
So did they not know before the actual day?
They found out when they showed up to rehearsal.
And that's got to be humiliating because your family spends a lot of money on
yeah.
flights and hotels and everything else, thousands of dollars to come out here to see your one opportunity, like to actually be like that's.
And you're a part of the cast. You're a part of the show. You're part of this family
you
now.
You make CBS millions and millions of dollars. You deserve your credit. That's ridiculous.
Well,
Because I'm sorry, I was already furious enough years ago when they started to go to a 3-person finale. I'm finally dealing with that. Now, if you're doing like non-jury members on the stage in the finale, that's just ridiculous to me.
Here's one thing though, in terms of the 3-person finale, that an example of this where it does or maybe works is this season, because if Cochran would have taken Sherry to the finals, it would have been the worst finale tribal jury ever. So I'm glad that.
I mean, it's still pretty bad.
No, but I'm glad it was more entertaining having Dawn sitting there than a Cochran versus Sherry. You know, so.
But it changes the dynamic of who you take to the end with you too. It changes your thought process.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have taken Dawn to the end.
No, he would have taken Sherry, and it would have been
if it was a
boring.
straight up, if it was a straight up 2 vote, Dawn would never have made it that far.
Well, hypotheticals. Going back to the finale, there's been extreme backlash just in general with the fans saying that they pretty much hated the finale. They thought that Jeff was very rude to the cast members, and in my opinion, I thought the questions he was asking were so recycled and boring. It was nothing new. Cochran, you wrote a paper on this in college. Yes, we know this.
All season long we've known.
We just keep asking and saying the same things over and over again. Like, tell us something we don't know. Talk about something behind the scenes. Make it interesting, like this show. Like, it just seemed very. It was boring. It wasn't exciting.
It was very watered down. It was very conservative, the entire thing. I feel like Jeff Probst is the only person on the planet who could host the show the way he hosted, and I absolutely love him.
You don't remember when Rosie O'Donnell did it?
What?
Oh my God.
She did do it.
She did a finale show?
Yeah,
I missed that season.
My God,
That's weird.
so long
No,
ago.
I'm saying
really?
Yes.
I'm saying
I
the
love
show.
Rosie. I need to watch that.
Wait, what was that video that I just got? My roommate got a video from Ryan yesterday, and somebody said, "You're not Ellen DeGeneres funny. You're Rosie O'Donnell."
Well, you know what it kind of seemed. I was saying it kind of seemed a little bit more like he was approaching it like a talk show.
Yeah.
Compared to
which is why your talk show got canceled.
Compared to how it used to be.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of
because he's really great at asking hard questions
the first
in the
question
moment.
of Cochran, he didn't let Cochran even answer the question, and then you know, it was this more along the question.
I don't think. I don't know. I don't think that he really wanted too many people to speak, just because of all the controversy that was going on.
Yeah, that's right.
That's probably exactly what it was.
That's probably what they said. Control this environment as much as you can.
CBS is a pretty timid network. They definitely have a demographic. It's middle of America, pretty middle-aged people. Like they have a certain demographic, and I think that
they're
there's
not the Real Housewives.
No, there's so much controversy coming into this finale that I feel like they're like, okay, let's just not let this get away from you.
Through it.
Just get through this next hour. Yeah.
But I mean, it's definitely backfired. I mean, people are definitely saying that this is the worst season ever. And
I didn't think the season was that bad.
I agree with you, but I'm saying this is just what people are saying. Like, they're just not pleased. And I thought the finale just really sucked. Like, people, like you just said, they want to see what everyone. The best part about Survivor is seeing everybody come on stage. Like, wow, they look. You don't even recognize them.
Yeah.
That part is so cool. And just not to see that with everybody was really. Like,
and I don't know if that's a CBS thing or if it's a Mark Burnett thing or whatever it is, but like the show
is a CBS legal thing.
The show is going into
because Brandon. Do you guys think it was mostly because Brandon wasn't there, right, to hide that fact?
I think that's what it was.
But I mean, I don't know who they thought they were hiding from. Everyone was like,
I know.
The press. We were standing next to all the press on the line, and they were all talking about Brandon and saying stuff. We, of course, we didn't say a word.
Well, and here's the thing, like CBS, like you guys
nothing to talk about.
CBS has gone through this Hans thing now 3 times with Russell, once with the cousin on Big Brother, now with like twice with. I'm like, you guys, it's the 6th time around. You guys know what you're getting yourself into. It's your own fault.
Well, I think they probably learned their lesson this time. If it's creating this much,
isn't it weird? There just wasn't acknowledged though at all. Like that
like the big elephant in the room. Like,
right?
Really?
And they even talked about, they showed the clips of how he went out. Like he went out in one of the craziest ways, and then it's just not.
You don't mention the fact that he's not there. You don't mention the fact that Eric went out in the finale from a medevac that was never explained fully. And then you don't even have your cast members up on the stage. I think they just as a fan, like
it's frustrating.
More so than probably any show on TV other than like soap operas in daytime. I think Survivor fans are fanatics. The show is on the air only because of the fans, and because they're so diehard and they're so loyal. And to like see this happen to the franchise at the end of this season, which was a pretty good season. I mean, it didn't start off that way, but it ended up to be a pretty good season. To do this in the finale leaves such a bad taste in so many people's mouths. That's frustrating as a fan.
Right.
And I love this show. I'm just like, come on, you guys, like. Do something next season.
I have to. I talked to Dawn, and afterwards, very briefly. I wanted to spend more time with her because I just felt so much. I just understood where she was at in so many ways. But she did share with me that before the finale, Jeff approached her and told her that she might be getting a lot of backlash and negativity from the audience. And the reason why that they brought the whole Brenda thing up, the split screen, the apology, whatever, was that he wanted to prevent what happened to me at the finale at the All-Stars when I got really upset and walked off. And he wanted to try to turn it into something positive.
Right.
But, and then he said that it's so different now because Twitter and blah, blah, blah. But see, what a lot of people don't remember is that there was no Twitter back then. There was no Facebook. But for the finale of the All-Stars, they literally put out an internet blast to all these crazy, loyal, insane fans to win tickets to the finale at Madison Square Gardens, which was my dream as an actress to be there one day performing. And there were 5,000 people in the audience that I did not know from the internet. And at the time, I was so hated and despised, and it was so crazy. And I walked out on that stage where I thought...
You just felt it, the hate.
Oh, no, I heard it.
You could feel this
booing. They booed
every time
me.
Dawn spoke.
I mean, you saw what it was like, and that's friends and family.
It's terrible.
Imagine 5,000 people who have no emotional investment in my life whatsoever coming at me.
It's just a circus.
Right. So, I mean, I understand what she's getting on Twitter and Facebook and all that. You can cancel those accounts. You cannot walk into your finale and be booed by 5,000 people and ignore that. There's nothing you can do.
I mean, I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to make all shows are trying to be more interactive now, which is great. That's kind of where technology is going.
There will never be that many people at a finale again.
Oh, God, no.
Never, because Mark Burnett called me and he was like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I was like, "Dude, you can't invite strangers into the finale. This is our moment to reconnect." Which is why the cast is also up there together at the end. It's our moment to kind of like bring out things that have affected us in the game.
And it's shifted away from that.
It's cathartic.
Yeah. It is, and there's something, a lot of wounds
generally it's
are
a
healed.
positive thing.
It really usually is.
There might be a tiff, but then they make up quick, and then everybody moves on.
When you can publicly talk to someone about the issue you had with them on the show, it does tend to, it's like therapy.
It's cathartic,
It helps heal wounds, and that wasn't allowed to happen.
Well,
they weren't even the same tribe.
We're going to have a little bit of time to heal some wounds before we come back for next season. We're about to wrap it up here, guys. We just have a couple of minutes.
Go ahead.
No, we have a couple of minutes of things we could definitely talk about.
The finale party.
Do you want to talk about?
We never even got to the finale party.
First, let's tease next season.
Yeah, okay. Next season is Blood versus Water, which Blood versus Water, which I wish I were on Survivor because my twin brother and I would have been amazing on this because we would have voted vote each
'Cause
other
you
out
hate each other.
first. We're not best friends, so it would have been really entertaining. However, we got some speculation online about who's going to be on this season, so I'm going to run down the list a little bit. Speculated to be on Blood vs. Water, it's where they're going to bring 10 returning players, and then the other tribe will be 10 of their family members or loved ones or whatever.
Are we sure that's what it is?
Yeah,
That's what
which
it
is pretty genius.
Basically, that's the speculation. So turning the loved one visits into a season, basically.
Yeah.
So going down the list of people who are rumored to be on it, Tyson, who's played the game twice. He's good. Eris and his brother.
I love Eris.
He's a former winner.
He's a good guy.
Rupert for the fourth time with his wife.
Does that mean we're going to have to watch him make out with his wife again?
Gross.
Oh, you said that was one of the most
I
disgusting
watched Taz
things
make
you've
out
ever
with Eddie
seen,
George.
right?
Is she on there? No.
Monica Culpepper, who
I like Monica.
Basically, I remember her because of her husband. She was married to a football player.
Yeah.
So that's why they're
Dante?
bringing him back.
Oh,
Dante's
she's really
wife?
pretty
She's
too.
really pretty.
Yeah.
Colby and possibly his boyfriend.
Wait, who?
No, not Colby. Colton. Sorry.
I was like, Colby's got a boyfriend. You heard it here first.
Sorry. Colton and his
Damn.
boyfriend.
Right, which that'll be funny because his boyfriend is like a complete, like total hick.
So
like
we'll
in the
see.
nicest
Wait,
way.
his boyfriend? That's
Yeah.
not
Or he's
family.
engaged.
No,
No,
they're
but they're not
engaged.
doing all. They're doing boyfriends and girlfriends as well.
That's exactly what I
Supposedly.
said.
So here's an example.
They're engaged.
Kind of like fans this year.
From Survivor One World, you have Kat. However, it's rumored either her cousin, who was her family visit, who they're crazy together, or she's dating Big Brother winner Hayden.
Hayden Moss.
So this could be the first time
Kat.
She was blonde on.
Oh, Kat, yeah. And
so
Hayden.
Hayden, who won Big Brother, this would be the first time a Big Brother player has crossed over to play Survivor, which would be interesting. Now, you might have to Google this one. I had to Google this one. Laura Moret. Could you tell me what season she's on?
Yeah.
You know her?
Yeah, of course.
I didn't
Laura.
remember her at all.
Laura's awesome.
She's good?
And she's beautiful. She was on with Eric Cardona.
She was on Samoa. I
Yes.
didn't remember her at all.
Oh,
Yeah,
this brings me to somebody
she's
else I heard that was
beautiful.
rumored.
Didn't remember her and her husband or something.
Is she on your list? Is Sandra on your list?
Sandra is on one of the lists. Sandra and her daughter.
Why would you come back again? You've won it twice.
Well,
Don't
here's the
tarnish
thing.
that record.
Here's the thing.
Why? Because she wants to try for a third time. Why not?
They'll bring her back again when they do a probably
Never
another
going to win a
All-Stars.
third
If they
time.
bring you back and back and back, just keep going. I would go
Yeah.
as many times.
If they ask you to go again,
You
don't say no.
go.
I mean, I would never say no.
Yeah.
I would die to see you on there again.
Jervis,
probably die, too.
from season 1 and his son.
I like Jervis. Really?
I love Jervis.
These are all rumors, just to say that. But Jervis, which would be a lot of people would love that.
Yeah.
would
RC and her father.
I like RC.
Possibly.
Because she actually was an underrated player. She could have actually
and
done
she's
really
gonna
well.
cause drama.
And
She
they
has big
did
boobs.
show Jervis at the finale in one of those little
Yeah.
weird movie.
Yeah.
Flip.
Jerry, this one's going to hit home for you. Tina Wesson and her husband.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Wait, she got remarried?
Oh, that's the online. They're just saying Tina and her husband.
I would love to see Tina play again.
Just Tina.
I love Tina.
Everyone
I met
loves
her.
Tina.
I met her last year. She's
Yeah, she's
fantastic.
cool.
Love you, Tina.
Another one.
See, you know what? That's a great example of how time can heal wounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
Tina
guys.
did not like me.
No.
And now every time I see her, it's just
Yeah.
like, wow.
There's a few more speculations. One other one. Danny Boatwright won Guatemala and her husband. She's the real pretty, beautiful.
So it's a lot of gorgeous
And
women.
it's a lot of husband and wife
I heard
pairings.
Stephanie as well.
Or Stephanie, well, it's either Stephanie Valencia.
Yeah.
She played with the
Yeah.
Russell Redemption Island season.
Or Redemption, yeah.
Yeah, and then Stephanie LaGrossa and
Stephanie
her
LaGrossa is
sister,
the one who I adore.
possibly.
She's one
These
of
are
my
names
favorites
that are
of
being
all time.
thrown out there. Terry Dietz from
I
Exile.
love Terry
Yeah.
D.
So these are just some of the people who are speculated. In general, I don't know. I feel like it's the family members for the most part are going to be pawns.
Yeah, maybe. But
And
they're gonna
I
have their own
also feel
tribe.
like Rupert, I feel like would fall on the sword for his wife. I just feel like a lot of these people would fall on the sword for their family member.
Well, that'll be interesting.
So
I
we'll
guess
see.
We'll
I think
find
We're gonna be
out.
crying
Yeah.
all season.
I don't know.
The goal will be to make it to the merge then.
But rumor online that I've read too is this was supposed to be season 28, but they moved it to season 27 because they think it'll be great
Well, it'll
for
be
the
really
ratings.
interesting. I think I was thinking about this today, like voting on your own tribe based on who just got voted out on the other.
Yeah,
because you
because
want to
of
get
family
rid of
members, it's
duos,
interesting.
and you're like, oh, you might not have gone for this
Yeah.
person, but you might go from
It's a
now
whole
because
new
there's still
dynamic.
somebody
Whole
left there.
new dynamic.
Now
cool.
we're talking.
Yeah.
So you guys,
I'm
we do have to wrap
excited
up. We only have a
already.
couple of minutes. So
I think they should do gays versus straight.
share with us what went down at the finale party. You've got a couple minutes.
Oh my God.
I mean,
In 2 minutes or less, go. Real.
So
quickly.
upset.
just really quick. Well, my favorite person to meet was Sherry, to be honest with you. I mean, of course, I loved Cochran and everybody else, but Sherry's just hysterical. She's a fun girl to go out and have a couple cocktails with, and she's didn't hold back
Beautiful.
at all. Yeah, she's flipping off the cameras. You'll see in our interview. I mean, she just was a spilling the tea. Like she's just like a fun girl. Like complete swears like a truck driver. She told me, she's like, I don't even know how they even got one word of me on the show because all I do, I have the worst mouth on the planet. Which I'm like, her persona in real life is 100 1% different than how she was portrayed on the on the show. Like so different. Like
That's
I
funny.
think people would have liked her a lot more if she was her.
I hope she gets another shot
She
at
needs
it.
another
I think
shot.
she will.
because
I think she's great.
Yeah.
She was great.
I wouldn't be surprised. So, you guys, we got to wrap it up. We're a little bit over time.
What,
Do we have something else? Something else?
no, I'm sad it's over.
You
It's
guys,
been a
I want
fun
to thank
season.
thank you to all my co-hosts. It was so wonderful to have you guys back this season, and thank you for joining us this season.
Thanks for
Jerri,
having
you're
me.
fantastic. We love you. You guys, thank you for hanging in there with us all season. It's been a long one. They always are, but it was a fun one and a memorable one, to say the least. Where can we find all of you guys on Twitter? I'll start with Ryan.
Ryan A. Carrillo on Twitter and Instagram, and I also will be hosting Big Brother, which comes up in June. So you can check us out
Cannot
on
wait
there.
for Big Brother.
You guys just can't take a break.
Twitter, Justin F. Walter, justinwalter.com.
And Jerri?
At Jerri Manthy for Twitter, and you can always find out about stuff on jerrimanthy.com, like I'm doing some upcoming plays.
With
and
an
stuff like
I,
that.
people. With an I.
With an I, yeah, with an I.
They spelled her name wrong.
Yeah, the Survivor people spelled my
Seriously?
name wrong.
Well,
we talk about
Eddie
that?
didn't even know you were on Survivor.
Let's talk about that. She couldn't even get tickets to the finale.
Oh, easy. You guys can follow me on Twitter at _AJ Gibson. Check out my website, ajgibson.tv. I'm also going to be covering So You Think You Can Dance this entire summer again, back with Kristen Burt. I'm excited
The
about that.
award-winning So You Think You Can Dance.
Yeah, we were nominated for a couple of awards last year. Kind of exciting. So we'll be back on Thursday, so check that out, you guys. From all of us here, until next season, was it Blood versus Water?
Blood versus
Blood
Water.
versus Water. Looking forward to it. Take care, you guys. Bye.
The tribe
From
has spoken.
Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff. We would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.